Mark's ripped dungarees under.
We'll call the Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. If you'll help me stand for the Pledge of Allegiance on May 3rd, 2017.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the Board of Selectmen reorganization. That's the agenda item, Board of Selectmen reorganization. I will now open the floor to nominations for chairman. Are there any nominations for chairman for the Board of Selectmen?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Andrew Joel, Selectman Andrew Joel.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any other nominations for chairman? Hearing no further nominations for chairman, I will close the nominations for chairman, and now we will take a vote on the nominations for chairman.
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Selectman Jordan?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes.
Your name.
Oh, no.
Face recognition.
Huh?
No passing again.
Ah, it's right there.
That's all right. At this time, I'll open the floor for nominations for vice chairman. Are there any nominations for vice chair?
Mr. Chairman, I would nominate Randy Becker.
I'll second that for discussion purposes. Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate now Mr. Miller.
I'll second that.
All right. Seeing as how there are two nominations, we'll first vote on the nomination of Selectman Becker as vice chair. So Courtney, will you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
No.
Selectman Duggan?
No.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Jordan?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Now we will open the floor for nominations for secretary. Are there any nominations for secretary?
Make a motion to nominate Selectman Dugevich.
I'll second.
All right. Hearing a motion and a second, we'll vote on that unless there's any other nominations for secretary. Courtney, will you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Jordan?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes.
All right, now that we have concluded the reorganization of the Board of Selectmen, the next item on the agenda is mass organic therapy.
Yeah, so Mass Organic Therapy is the growth site behind the Price Chopper Plaza. They are opening it up to another dispensary in Provincetown, and so they are required to notify us because that's where their grow location. So this is all we have to do. If you want to formally vote that you've received this, that would be helpful for the DEP. Or DPH.
I'd make a motion that we note formal receipt of the notification for Provincetown. Second.
All right, Courtney, would you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes.
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Jordan?
Yes.
A little confusing.
I did, yeah, I have to know.
Next item on the agenda is the open meeting law approval of settlement agreement.
Yeah, so this was emailed out earlier. So this is a settlement agreement that the Attorney General's office has prepared that our attorney, Bill Hewig, recommends that we agree to. Basically, we've met all the conditions. We just need to pay a $1,000 fine for the open meeting law violation that happened on August 31st, 2016.
Through the chair, there's nothing mentioned in here at all that they're absorbing half that cost.
That KP's,
Yes.
yeah. So KP, I mean, this was between the state and the town. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that in there, but we can have KP do that.
So I would recommend, and it's up to the board, that we wait until we get a letter back from them saying that they're
They'll
gonna
pay for
absorb.
some of it.
You know, they did approve
The minutes.
the agenda for that meeting, and if we're gonna pay $1,000, we're gonna be on the hook for that.
Mhm.
They should absorb $500 of that cost.
Yeah, it's up to the board. I can ask KP to
Make the motion.
write a letter
I would
saying that.
put that in a motion.
I'll second that.
Hearing a motion and a second, Courtney, would you poll the board?
Just a point of discussion, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
Is there any time requirement?
No,
on this?
we could wait till the next
Okay.
meeting.
Thank you.
We do have 30 days, I think it said, right?
The-
I think it had said something like 30 days.
Payment must be received
Received it.
within
30
30
days,
days.
right.
Yep.
Mm.
And whose general fund does that go into? That goes into the state's general fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Any other discussion? Then if you poll the board.
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Bork?
Yes.
Selectman Durgevich?
Abstain.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Jolda?
Yes. All right, next item on the agenda is water sewer rate presentation by T and Bond.
So we can have Mike and Dorn and Bill join us, but real quickly, this handout was emailed out last night. I'll quickly go over it. We have them here to answer any of the specific questions, but at our last meeting on April 24th, we recommended a 10% increase, which would be $31 for the mean household increase, and for the median household increase, it's $24. So that would have covered the FY18 operating budget, the payments for the water filtration plant, and payments for the debt to upgrade the main on Thompson Road. At our last meeting, we spoke about adding potentially new projects that would help alleviate the dirty water problems. So we have a capital investment plan that was prepared by Tad and Howard. They're an engineering company, and they recommended that we clean and line East Main Street, Park Road, and School Street. So if we add those costs into the rate, it would increase it to 12%, which is 35 for the mean and 29 for the median household. Any questions on the water rates?
No, on the lining, how did you come up with East Main, Park Road, and School Street?
That was done, so as Doug pointed out, that was done by Taylor Howard, and they did a whole capital efficiency plan where they look at break history, they look at hydraulic deficiencies and that sort of thing. We had taken that prior, Mr. Charpentier and I, and reprioritized some of the projects on there. And really what that does is restore the hydraulic capacity of those pipes, and they're key pipes and Dorn, I'm sorry, he was there too. And, you know, we've discussed them again, and it restores hydraulic capacity to some of your key points. So some of the things that are deficient are fire flows. We were looking at one that had 30% of its required fire flow, just because I've shown you the pictures before, the stuff that grows inside. This will clean that out and restore hydraulic efficiency for less than a new water main. You don't have to dig up the whole street. So I did, you know, we did talk about that. I'm like, you can't do everything at once, or the people in Webster will kill me. You can't just start digging every street, so.
Right, and these are problem areas, and this will help address the calls in those areas as well.
Yes, and they are on the priority list from the capital efficiency plan.
So, Mr. Chairman, will this take care of kind of the higher priorities of the brown water that people are seeing? Or is it more of an occlusion and it's an issue for safety with regards to water flow coming through hydrants?
Everywhere in town that we can do cleaning and lining, or line replacement as the case may be required, is going to improve water quality. any place that you can remove water from contacting the cast iron, it's going to benefit the water quality. Water and iron is just gonna create rust. And the cement lining will create an impervious barrier between the water and the cast iron, preventing the potential for rusting.
Yeah, I understand it will help. I think what we talked at the last meeting was, I thought there was a prioritization that was gonna be done with regards to the brown water that people were having. And will this help take care of that?
Well, yes, but the brown water, the lines contributing the brown water were not specifically identified. The capital efficiency plan identified suspect pipes and created a priority list based on hydraulics and water quality and the break history.
Okay.
Yes, it helps.
Yeah, I was gonna try one more time.
No,
Will-
you know, 50% of your pipes, you have 70 miles and 80 miles.
Yeah.
Our line cast iron pipe around 100 years old. So this is a lower cost way to start addressing the hydraulics in the system. So yeah, and will it help? Yes, because those pipes have, you know, the brown water, think of it as like dust in your garage or something. When you open the windows and it stirs it up, that's the problem. It doesn't come from the pipe, it comes from the source.
I understand that,
All right.
and so we have a list of all of the brown water complaints we've gotten.
Yes.
Is the preponderance of them gonna be taken care of?
The-
Not all of them, but the top,
I
5
wouldn't
to
say the
10%.
preponderance of them because they are all over the city. Will it address many dirty water calls? Yes.
Well, then, jumping off what Mr. Beck was saying, wouldn't we be wise to use that money to keep ice pigging the rest of the time to at least clean up those water, the brown water calls?
I think it is wise to do at least one more round of ice pigging. And this particular round is scheduled to take place this coming October, and that will address the next highest impact areas as far as discolored water or water quality complaints goes. That being Eastern Ave, Poland Street, down through the Bartlett High School, Clay Bart, and then down School part of the ways. That will be included in this year's ice pigging
Right,
program.
but would we be better served not lining these pipes and taking that money to pig more of the town?
The pigging's actually really economical. You've been spending about $80,000 a year and you get 15,000 feet of pipe out of that.
Right.
So you get a
Right,
lot.
but if we can clean up the
Yeah,
brown
yeah,
water
so-
complaints quicker
Thank
by doing pigging most of the
What have
town,
they been?
thank you.
would we be better off taking the money allocated for relining these pipes and put it into the pigging account and get 90% of the town done and then end these brown water
I
complaints?
think for the time being, we're getting the best bang for the buck as we are right now, spending the $80,000 on 10,000, 15,000 feet of pipe, but also continuing with the cleaning and lining. The ice pigging is a huge benefit for relatively short money.
Right, yeah, so, and we're gonna be continuing to do the ice pigging, and that's.
Right, but we can only allocate $80,000 at a time. What's it gonna cost to reline these pipes? Would we be better off taking, say, 400,000 and throw it right into pigging and get the town done, or?
You know, open, free discussion, Dor and I were talking about it, he was thinking that one more round of pigging was gonna do it, was gonna catch him up.
This next,
So, yeah,
this
so
next
the
80,000?
pigging addresses the symptoms. You know, now we're starting to do the root underlying, it's not just about brown water, it's about deficient fire flows, it's about, you know, safety and that kind of thing. So we're just starting to chip away at the town's water system.
Right, but it's hard raising rates when people have brown water in their
How, what
sinks.
have the complaints been?
They have been sporadic, and even though, although I haven't done an evaluation, my sense is that they are slightly decreasing as we get through additional rounds of the hydrant flushing and the ice pigging. There is some resedimentation in the system, as evidenced by the longer that we go from completion of the most recent round of hydrant flushing, the calls tend to slowly increase throughout town, not in any specific location.
Right, so we'll continue to do the ice pigging as long as it makes sense, and that's built into the operating budget. So this, the money to clean and line these mains, that money is, you know, these mains are just as, We're cleaning these because they're cleaning and lining these, because they're the next most important ones to be done. Besides doing the water filtration plant, cleaning and lining is the next step to get these lines cleared. So it could be these ones or somewhere else. It doesn't, I mean, it would affect those neighborhoods, but these are the areas where we get the most complaints, and these are the areas that will also help the water flow the most. Yes.
Just another question. So the cost of this, so the 2% additional increase dollars is how much?
So the Tad and Howard report was about 550,000.
For that, yeah, so we looked at, the rate increase is about $240,000 of just additional rate, money. So that'll pay for the start of the project and some of the, debt, because depending on when the project hits and when it, you don't pay for it right away, you short-term borrow and then convert that, so. I mean, keep in mind, there's 40 or 50 pipes on the list that need to be addressed, and we're just starting to chip away and find a balance between expediency and affordability and just overall construction aggravation.
No, and I think the lining is great, because it has to get done, and it's not gonna be wasted, because the plant is gonna come online fairly quickly in relative
And then those
terms.
lines flush easier.
But the 2%, I'm a little confused, because Doug, you said 550, like you said 240. The 2 percentage point differential is how much money?
That's
in the
the,
rates?
Yeah, that is, I'm gonna guess off the top of my head, it was $50,000.
yeah.
It was enough to pay for some debt and for the engineering design.
Okay, that doesn't seem much, but.
Right, yeah, because the debt for this is only about $40,000
Yeah.
for the 550,000. For the 550,000, if we amortize that out over 20 years, it's about $30,000. Sorry, $40,000 a year.
Oh, okay, all right. So you're paying it off over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Time.
Earl, you had a question?
Yes. How many miles of pipe out of the 70 will this address if it's approved?
I wanna say less than one. They're not that big, a mile of pipe is, figured almost $200 a foot for new pipe. So it's millions and millions of dollars, so that's why what this discussion is telling me too, is that we should come back and talk about the whole rest of it and, how we're prioritizing things and where we're starting to do it.
Which is what we talked about at the last meeting, create a priority list.
Right, no, I mean the whole rest of the system,
Right.
looking out over 10 years now and taking a longer view, and that's our goal.
Well, and that's part of the question. I think when we add this new cost in here, cleaning and lining, does that mean digging up the streets? Does it mean sending a machine down, routing it out, and then sending a liner in?
Yeah, you cut out basically at every valve and hydrant about every 500 feet, and they send a mechanical reamer that looks like the biggest hula popper you've ever seen through this thing with all these rakes, and it scrapes it out. And then they send this other special machine, it's old technology, but they send this other machine through which sprays mortar in it, and it trowels it through. And so, I'd like to tell you save half, but you save like 30% off a new. You're not digging up the street, you're digging patches. You replace the hydrants, you replace the pipes, you replace the hydrants and the valves, and you rehab the pipes, and you can get another.
And now that makes sense. I want to know, what are we getting for what we're paying
Yeah,
for? That's all.
no, it's tried and true technology.
And through the chair, just for transparency, under the water rates, even if we were to go with the 10 or the 12%, there will be an increase in FY19, correct?
Yeah, that's, the plan is to look at the next 9 years and give you a 10-year window of anticipated rate increases. I personally like to look out 10 years. I wouldn't recommend, announcing more than 3 years, because you still don't know what could, change in the future, but you sort of monitor it as you go. And like we said, it's finding a balance between rates and affordability, constructability, and, finding a fit that matches.
So again, through the chair, on the rate comparison that's at the bottom of this, where it says Webster, water annual cost of $273.03, and sewer annual cost is $425. I'm assuming that's where we're currently at.
No, that's actually with the rate increase.
That's with the rate increase.
Yeah.
So, just so that everyone knows, Webster is currently for water $273.03 annual, sewer is $425.66, Douglas is $305.19, sewer is $563.86, Bellingham is $460.36 for water, $601.20 for sewer, and Southbridge is $484.40 for water, and sewer would be $545.40. That's based on 46,000 gallons annually, or 79 gallons per person per day, with rate increases described above. I think that's important to note, because that number is, even with the rate increases, is significantly low.
You know, when I do these, you don't know what you're working in Excel, so it's taking this plus this, but I don't know what it's gonna be until I press the button.
Right.
And when I did Bellingham, it was like cheap. And then I
Yeah.
realized Bellingham charges their customers a $260 capital improvement fee because they had to do a green sand plant a few years ago. So that right on top, and that's how they've addressed it, is just boom, right on top, everybody pays $260
In
a year.
addition to these,
No, that's in
That's
there,
built
it's in
in.
there, but their consumption would have been less, so yeah, I mean, Webster's, still a bargain, you know? So are you gonna start to meet that? Yeah. You know what I mean? Some of those gaps are gonna start to close, and it's a function of, you know, the capital and the debt that we've put into the system.
But it's also a necessary evil to bring our water up to the quality that we want.
I can tell you from 30 years' experience, when you make improvements to the water system, people are happy. You know, it's harder with sewer because the best thing to get out is a paved road maybe if you're fixing sewers.
Right.
But water, you get better water pressure, you get cleaner water, you know, generally, it's cheaper. To your point about what it was before, up top it says that increase is $35, that's annual, it's a total of their 4 water bills. So you can see you're at $273, you would have been at, I'll embarrass myself, $225, $230 before that. So you have enough customers where it spreads it out. It's a, you know, everything counts when it comes to money, but if you had, you know, less customers, the cost still costs the same to do the projects, and it's a lot more burden, but you have enough people where it helps, you know, it helps spread that out.
yeah, through the chair, the only, of course, drawback to all this, we might be the less expensive, but we have an issue with quality. So we don't want to be bragging about having low rates when we've got brown water. And it's gonna, you know, it's gonna work its way through. So I'm happy to hear the priority list is getting worked on, you know, to Mr. Bork's comment, this is gonna be a multi-year endeavor.
It could be 2 decades,
Yep.
you know, it depends on how fast you wanna go.
Through the chair, if
okay.
I may. Now, Doran, did I hear Eastern Ave?
Eastern Ave is slated for part of the ice picking.
Wasn't that, because of a fire that was probably 10 or 12 years ago, wasn't that on a list to be replaced, that
East
line?
Main?
Eastern Ave.
No, East Main.
He's talking about ice pigging.
Yes,
not-
I'm
sorry.
referring to Eastern Ave for ice pigging. It's
Okay.
one of the areas in town that has been hit really hard with black water, manganese accumulations. And we get frequent calls up in Eastern Ave, and as you may know, it also passes through the school property, so as a result, the school gets hit as well.
Okay.
Is that because it's more low flow, smaller pipe?
Closer to the source.
I'm not sure that it's low flow, but it's close to our tank, closer to Memorial Beach Pumping Station.
So it's getting more of the bad stuff.
Memorial is got the lesser water quality than Station 3, and, you know, they still use it at night because it you know, sort of balances.
So, through the chair, so just to jump back to what Mr. Miller was saying, on Eastern Ave, when we had that fire years ago, the lines were so small that they were sucking too much water to where it was coming out of people's toilets in their house.
Mhm.
And remember, I was on the fire department then. But I thought we put in brand-new lines in there, so you're telling me within 12 years, it got that bad in 12 years?
This is not a deterioration of the pipe, it's a sediment accumulation in the pipe.
But if we do that, through the chair, but if we do that flushing every year, wouldn't that alleviate some of the sediment?
It gets the majority out, but it is continually reaccumulating, and my suspicion is it's one of the areas in town where it is accumulating more significantly than in other parts of the town. Second Island Road is another one that we get fairly frequent calls on, and as we get closer to the next round of flushing, the calls throughout town, but more in these areas, tend to increase.
So what would be the cause and analysis of there being so much just in those two areas when those pipes are new?
Location in relation to the Station 1 wells and the water storage tank. They're both in close proximity.
Okay.
So if you picture it, the manganese in the ground is soluble, you don't see it. When it comes up and then it's hit with the chlorine and the pH adjustment, it comes out of solution, it becomes particulate, so it just sort of very slowly falls in the pipe and it just builds up. If it's quiet and it's at night, which is when Station 1 is used, then you get the demand in the morning, or, you know, something, a fire or something like that, it stirs it, it blows. It's like think of it like a leaf blower in your garage with all the dust, starts kicking it up. So it's sitting on clean pipe, but it just gets pushed down and gets reactivated.
Okay.
If I may add, we run Station 1 at night so that we can still use the water, but reduce the impact on our customers. Station 1 does not have the capacity to run during the day. We run Station 3 during the day, which has the higher output capacity, able to meet daily demands. So we run that one during the day. Then at nighttime, in the dead of night, when there's a potential of suspect water, we run that one at night, and by morning it's all settled out, and we should be, usually are good to go.
Yeah, cool.
Basically, you fill the tank every night, in the morning it's ready to go.
Right.
If, Mr. Chairman, because it's my understanding, well 3 would run like 21 hours a day, and then you switch it over to 1, and that's about 3 hours a day. Am I
That is correct.
Thank you.
So we're ready to take a vote on the rates. So we'll do the, do we have a motion for either the recommended water increase of 10% or 12%?
Well, Mr. Chairman, given the additional work for the cleaning and lining, I'm going to make a recommendation on the water for the 12% rate increase.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, just one more thing, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman. On that, Thompson Road, I found out it was $810,000 for the 1,500 feet, am I correct?
Yep.
We're gonna get any state money from that, say this year, and then we'll continue next year and the
Yeah.
year after, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so they put in $50,000 for the budget for the FY18 state budget, which,
Is that going to increase through the Senate version?
I hope it does, but,
It'll
it's not- it hasn't been
be
approved yet.
$100,000,
Yeah.
which would probably be what it is.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, Courtney, will you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Bork?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Jolda?
Yes. Then, do we have any discussion on the sewer rate increase for recommendation of 8%?
I move for the 8.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing no other discussion, Courtney, will you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Bork?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Jolda?
Yes. All right. Next item on the agenda is water sewer abatements.
Myself.
Hi, gentlemen. I'd like to start tonight with 39 Loveland.
Bill, do you mind just giving us a brief?
Yep,
history of it?
this property, the former owner was identified as not paying his sewer bill. We were allowed to go back a number of years, come up with an average bill, and we presented it to him that one, he was going to start paying his sewer bill, and two, he owed us some money. An agreement was made. It was a non-binding agreement. 9 months after the agreement was paid, and he paid 9 months' worth of charges, he sold the house. The new owner was notified by the collector that there was 3 months outstanding, and he did not want to pay it. He actually had no legal obligation to pay it. So the old owner has been in touch with the collector's office, and I don't know yet if he's made arrangements to pay. He has no legal obligation to pay, and neither does the present owner. So we're asking that this bill be abated.
So, yeah, can I explain real quick? So, like Bill said, this home, 39 Loveland, they found out he hadn't been paying his bill, and so went back and had an agreement that he's gonna pay a year's worth of bills. When he paid 9 months and then moved. So we contacted him. He said he's gonna pay the rest, but this is to abate the amount for the new owner that lives in that house right now, who shouldn't be paying for the previous guy's bill.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Through the chair, in the form of discussion, wouldn't we have found this, or shouldn't we have found this when they did,
The MLC.
right, and all that stuff? I mean,
When what?
So
Right.
the
Yeah.
question, I think we had the same question, which is, normally when they do an MLC, did the town not update its records, or was this an issue with the attorney closing?
Yeah.
It wasn't formally committed, so it wasn't on the MLC. There wasn't a formally, these agreements with the people who had, through oversight, who weren't being charged their sewer bill for a number of years. None of them, they were all, I would have to, for lack of a better word, it was an informal agreement, and there wasn't a commitment made.
So is there the ability for us to get that formally put in the future? Because if it's owed, even if it's informal, it should show as a record, and then the MLC will pick it up.
Right, yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
Yes.
So in the future,
Hopefully this won't happen again in the future.
Yeah, just, it was unusual that an MLC wouldn't pick this up.
right, so, and I guess just to, not to harp on this, but, do we have any other non-formal agreements that are hanging out there that we should probably put?
formalize. Yeah.
When the evaluation was done to identify properties that were not paying, we identified 7 properties, and by now, all of them should be completely paid up.
This
Alright,
should be the
so-
last month.
Through the chair, can we get an update on all those and see those agreements? Because this is a hefty amount of money that we could lose, the town is gonna lose out on.
Right.
And if we have 7 houses that are out there,
Yeah, so we'll provide an update that may, either all those have been all paid off, or we'll formalize the agreement, and so it'll be picked up by an MLC.
okay, thank you.
Right. Any other further discussion? Then Courtney, will you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes,
Selectman Zager?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Jolda?
Yes.
The next abatement abatement request we have is for 710 Beacon Park. The owner purchased the property and had been undergoing renovation. He purchased it in November 2015. He's always had minimum bills, no issues with the bills. When he went there this past billing quarter, actually there was no water use, so we went out there to check it out. And in finding it out, we identified a leak at the property, but could not identify. Let me restate that. There was high usage at the property, but no leak could be identified. We investigated the property, could find no cause for the high usage, but nevertheless there was high usage. So based on the abatement policy, we are recommending a denial. However, the owner is a senior citizen. He recently applied for a senior discount and a Vietnam combat veteran. While we recommend denial, if the board chooses to vote otherwise, we'd be fine with that.
Through the chair, so where's the water going?
We don't know.
I mean,
There wasn't any physical damage to the property associated with the leaky toilet, going through walls, floor, no structural damage, no water
Right.
staining.
Through the meter and down the sewer.
And
Well, I came across the same situation during the same billing period. After my mother passed, Norm was in the house. No water was being used. I get a bill for $2,500. There was no leaks, no nothing. I paid the bill only because I'm on the board and I wasn't gonna ask for a payment, but there could be some issues somewhere else. I got,
There have been instances, I think we've all seen this, where the toilets, if you don't jiggle the handle just right, your toilet runs forever. And then the homeowner comes home by and, he jiggles it, then when we come to inspect, everything's fine. So especially in an instance where the house is basically unoccupied, if he flushed the toilet before he left and then it kept going, 3-4 gallons a minute, and he comes back a month later, that's an explanation for what happened.
The costs accumulate fast.
so, through the chair, so have we gone back and is it still leaking?
No, when we
Just
went back the
stopped
second time, it was stopped. We could not identify, but there was high usage, but could not identify any flowage of water.
And no issue that we can tell with the meter? or-
Correct. Everything appeared to be working fine.
That's a lot of money.
Do we have a motion?
This one's
Well-
perplexing.
well, I had the same issue
Yeah.
and I was upset. I paid it, but there was no leak. I called the water department, had them check the meter. There was no problem with the meter. And no one was there.
Right.
But, I paid it, so I guess, I'll make a motion to go along with their recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Courtney, will you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Tolman?
Yes.
The next request that we have is a very emotional one on my part. It's at 65 Myrtle Ave. The woman came in after receiving a high bill, and we left a door tag on it to go ahead and investigate it. Found high usage. There was a leak that was fixed. What was repaired, no, not leaking any longer, and we do have the plumber's certification on it. The heart-wrenching part of this is she had just recently lost her husband, who was the caretaker of the property, and to be perfectly honest, she really didn't know what to do to address the situation. Once again, by the policy, she would be entitled to a sewer abatement. It's just a real difficult situation. But we leave it up to the board to see if the board wants to consider it a hardship.
So you are recommending the sewer portion of this?
There was no plumber certification that the repairs were done. I believe the repairs were done by a family member. And the policy requires that certification to be present. Once again, the owner really did not know what to do, so a family member came in and did the repair.
Yeah. But Doran, the question I think is, you're requesting to abate the sewer and the water, or?
We recommended to deny.
Both.
Well, if we did approve it, everyone else would be paying it.
Correct.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to deny.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I guess I would make another motion to abate the amount that is above the averages. However you determine those averages to be. Because it looks like the 5,000 was typically used, and this has gone to
Yeah.
10,400.
The amount above the average is for water 346.98 and for sewer 563.83.
That's above the
The
average?
share,
Yeah, on the last page. That's per quarter, right? For-
Okay,
for
got it.
this.
Per billing quarter, yes.
Per billing quarter.
through the chair, Mr. Becker, Selectman Becker, on the, did you want to abate just sewer? The 563.83?
Yeah, I was trying to find out exactly what the
Okay.
overage was first. So now that I can see it here on the sheet, the 563.83?
Yes.
So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, and Selectman Dugevich, did you want to withdraw your
Yeah, I'll
initial
withdraw
motion?
mine.
All right. So now that we have a new motion and a second, is there any further discussion? And hearing no further discussion, Courtney, will you poll the board?
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes.
Selectman Dugevich?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Jordan?
Yes.
The final request that we have was from the property 261 Thompson Road that had traditionally been seasonal property. 3 years ago, the owner requested a $2,000 abatement and received it. He's back again this time. This past winter, the furnace backflow preventer failed and essentially flooded his basement. Because he received an abatement, a substantial abatement previously, we are recommending denial on that.
And again, I'm sorry, through the chair, did the water exit the house, or did it?
The water did not flow into the sewer.
Did not, okay. And do we, again, through the chair, sorry,
Right ahead.
do we typically, or will you at least let us know if there have been, in the past year or two, abatements? Here's the first time I think that I've heard.
Yes,
Where there's actually
we
been
do
an abatement.
monitor that, and this is the first case that I have personally encountered.
Okay. I mean, I can understand it, that it hasn't gone through the sewer, I'd be comfortable abating the
I'm
sewer.
sorry?
If it hasn't gone through the sewer, I'd be comfortable abating we're recommending
Yes.
making a motion for the abatement of the sewer portion of the increase. Which
Is
is
that a motion?
979.43 in the form of a motion.
Second.
All right, hearing a motion and second, is there any further discussion? All right, Courtney, move to the board.
Selectman Miller?
Yes.
Selectman Board?
Yes.
Selectman Dugevich?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Chairman Jordan?
Yes.
That's all we have.
That's all we have. Thank you.
Gentlemen. All right, with no other items on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second. Yes.
Selectman Dugevich?
Yes.
Selectman Becker?
Yes,
Chairman Jordan?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
And everyone's welcome to stay for our 7 o'clock